you've definitely talked to them before. Maybe you asked a smart speaker for the weather, or you typed, "Hey, where's my order?" into a little chat window on a website. You know, these moments feel pretty simple, right? But what's going on under the hood is this incredible story of design, of really tough challenges, and of constant evolution. So to really get a handle on where all this is going, we're going to pull back the curtain a bit and introduce you to the main character in our story today, the Helpful Librarian.
So, at its heart, that's what a conversational agent is. It's our digital librarian. Its whole job is to understand what you're asking for and go find the right answer. But here's the thing. To really, truly understand how they work, you need to know that they're all basically built with one of two fundamental personalities.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because every developer has to make a choice. Is their librarian going to be an actor in a super tightly scripted play, where every single line is already written out? Or is it going to be more of a gifted improv comedian, just making it all up on the spot? And believe me, that one decision, it changes everything.
This really gets to the core trade-off here. On the one hand, you've got the scripted play. This is all about control. It's predictable, it's consistent, it's absolutely perfect for something simple, like ordering a pizza, right? The conversation follows a very clear, strict path. But on the other hand, you have the improv actor, and this one is all about flexibility, about creativity. It can handle all sorts of weird, unexpected questions, and that leads to a conversation that feels much more dynamic, much more, well, human.
So this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? That scripted librarian is fantastic, as long as you, the person talking to it, stick to the plot. But what happens when you ask something totally out of left field? What happens when you go off script? This right here points to the single biggest challenge in all of conversational design.
And that challenge has a name. It's often called the long tail problem. And I think the best way to visualize it is with the peacock's tail. This is the ultimate test for any conversational AI. And frankly, it's the exact point where most of the simple scripted bots just fall apart.
Okay, so here's the crucial idea. The peacock's head, that's the small part, represents maybe 20% of the most common questions. Things like, what are your hours, or what's my account balance? Our scripted librarian is a rock star at handling those. But then there's the tail, and it is massive. It represents the other 80% of conversations, that endless stream of unique, rare, super-specific questions that you could never possibly write a script for. And an agent's true quality, its real value, isn't measured by how it handles the head. It's all about how gracefully it can handle that enormous, unpredictable tail.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, great, the improv actor is the answer. Problem solved. I mean, it's flexible enough to handle that long tail of human curiosity. But its creativity comes with a new and, honestly, a pretty dangerous problem. When it doesn't know an answer, it has this tendency to hallucinate, which is a fancy way of saying it just makes stuff up. It confidently invents facts, and just like that, its greatest strength becomes its biggest weakness.
So how do you fix a problem like that? I mean, how do you make a creative genius trustworthy? Well, it turns out you give it an open book exam. This is a breakthrough technique. It's called Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or just RAG for short. And it is the secret to making our improv librarian not just creative, but also factually reliable.
Let's walk through this process. Think of it like a recipe for a fact-checked answer. First, you load the system with approved textbooks. These are the sources of truth, like company manuals or official PDFs. Second, you split all those big documents into tiny, searchable notes. Third, and this part is kind of magic, you embed them. This creates a smart index that doesn't just look for keywords, it actually understands the meaning behind the notes. Fourth, when you ask a question, the system retrieves the most relevant little notes from its library. And finally, the most important step, you prompt the AI by giving it both your original question and the factual notes it just found. You're basically saying, here's the question, and by the way, here's the answer. Now just say it back to me nicely. The result? A creative, well-written answer that is grounded in solid, verifiable fact.
So let's just pause for a second. We've managed to build a librarian that's both a creative conversationalist and a meticulous fact-checker. It can talk, and we can trust what it says. But that's not where this story ends. In fact, this new, reliable librarian is really just the foundation for the next giant leap in AI.
So there you have it. Our librarian is creative, it's trustworthy, it has pretty much mastered the art of conversation, it knows how to talk. Now, it's time to teach it how to do.
You know, it's funny. A quote from way back in 1776 by Adam Smith actually gives us a huge clue about what's coming next. He was talking about the division of labor, the idea that you can get way more done by breaking a big job down and giving the little pieces to specialists. And that very same principle, it perfectly foreshadows the future of AI. To solve really complex problems, our single helpful librarian needs to become the manager of an entire workshop of specialized agents.
And that brings us right to the frontier. We've done it. We've built an AI that can talk intelligently and reliably. So the next great challenge, the question that is driving the entire field forward right now, is this one. How do we teach it to act? How do we evolve our helpful librarian from being just an information provider into a proactive problem solver that can actually go out and get complex things done for us?